Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel PCMP Digital Gurukul. Today we are going to discuss about Chemistry NEET 2019 questions. The first question is for the chemical reaction when N2 reacts with 3 moles of H2, it gives us 2 moles of NH3. We have to choose the correct option. So for this you must know about how to write the rate of reaction when any general equation is given to you. Let us consider when A moles of A react with B moles of B, reaction is in equilibrium, it gives us C moles of C and D moles of D. This A and B are reactant here and C and D are products. So rate of this reaction can be expressed by decrease in the concentration of reactant and increase in the concentration of product. So we can write like this: negative of 1 by coefficient of reactant A into the change in concentration of A with respect to change in time, that is equal to negative of 1 by coefficient of B decrease in concentration of B with respect to change in time. Or we can also express this, the increase in concentration of C, because C is product here, so we can write 1 by C change in concentration, this is small c and this one is capital C, dC by dt, change in concentration of C with respect to change in time. And we can also express like 1 by D change in concentration of capital D divided by change in time. Now by using this general expression, we can also write the rate of given reaction. The reaction given to us is when N2 react with 3 moles of H2, it gives us 2 moles of NH3. So we can write like this: rate of this reaction is negative of dN2, change in concentration of N2 with respect to change in time, because here coefficient is 1, so we have to consider here minus 1 by 1 equal to minus 1 by 3, coefficient is 3 here, change in concentration of H2 with respect to change in time equal to, ammonia is product here, so we have to consider the positive sign in front of this, 1 by 2 change in concentration of NH3 with respect to time. Now see the question, we have to choose the correct option. First one is minus dN2 by dt is equal to 2 dNH3 by dt. This is wrong. The second one is minus dN2 by dt is equal to 1 by 2 dNH3 by dt. So the second option is the correct option. So the correct answer for this question is option number second. Question number second is the non-essential amino acid among the following is, we have to choose a non-essential amino acid, and in this table you can see some are essential amino acid and some are non-essential amino acid. If you want to learn these amino acid, you can find a short trick for these amino acids. We have already uploaded on our channel and we will also provide the link in the description also, so you can see from there. This alanine is one of the non-essential amino acid. Out of these 4 amino acid, leucine, lysine and valine are the essential amino acids. So alanine is only one of the non-essential amino acid. This type of questions are very direct question. You can simply learn the trick for any one of them, essential or non-essential, and you can easily find out the other one. Next question is, for an ideal solution, the correct option is, we have to choose the correct option. First of all, you must know about the ideal solution. The ideal solution are those solutions which obey Raoult's law at all the conditions of concentration, temperature and pressure. So the interaction of the resultant mixture, that is AB, is similar to that of the reactants. When we mix the AA type mixture into BB type mixture, the interactions are in first solution is of AA type, in second solution is of BB type. When we mix them, a new mixture is obtained that has interaction AB type, and when the interaction forces between all these are similar, then we can say that the resultant solution is an ideal solution. And for an ideal solution, always remember these things. Delta H mixing, the enthalpy change is always 0. Delta S mixing, the entropy change is always greater than 0. Delta G mixing, that is Gibbs free energy change, is always less than 0 because the reactions are only feasible when delta G is negative. And the last one is delta V mixing. For these type of solutions are also 0. So when we see the options here, then the correct option is delta H mixing is 0 at a constant temperature and pressure. This is satisfied for the ideal solution out of these 4 options. So the correct answer is answer B. The next question is magnet and the permanganate ion are tetrahedral due to what is the reason behind it out of these 4? So the magnet ions are Mn O4 2 negative and permanganate ions are MnO4 negative. So when we draw the structure of these two, both are tetrahedral. Here the negative charge is on 2 oxygen in case of magnet, but in case of permanganate the negative charge is on one structure, one oxygen, and other are double bond O. So in these two cases, the d orbital of manganese always overlap with the p orbital of oxygen to form pi bonding. So in both the cases, the pi bonding is of the type p pi d pi type. Here also d pi p pi type bonding. So in both cases, the d orbital of manganese and the p orbital of oxygens are involved in pi bonding. So the option number 4, the pi bonding involve the overlap of p orbital of oxygen with the d orbital of manganese. So the option number 4 is the correct answer. Now the next question is, which will make basic buffer? It will become very easy for you to solve the question when you know the definition for this basic buffer. This basic buffer is that buffer which is obtained by mixing weak base with the salt of this weak base with strong acid. When we mix weak base with the salt of its weak base with the strong acid, then the solution obtained here is known as basic buffer, and the pH for basic buffer is always greater than 7. Now see in the options in which case weak base is given to you. As we know that NaOH is strong base, NH4OH is weak base, NaOH is strong base again. In this case also NaOH is strong base. So there is only one case where weak base is given to you. So we can say that our correct answer is 2. But firstly we solve this and After that we will say that this is the correct answer. So when HCl react with NH4OH, this will lead to the formation of a salt, that is NH4Cl, and formation of water. Before the reaction, we can observe that we have 100 ml of HCl and 200 ml of NH4OH. 0.1 molar HCl and 0.1 molar NH4OH. So when we want to calculate the number of millimoles, so number of millimoles can be calculated here by multiplying this molarity by volume. Molarity by volume. So in first case, we will obtain the millimoles equal to, when we multiply these two factors, then the number of millimoles obtained in this case is 10 millimoles. But in this case, when we multiply this, remove the point, 0 is cancelled out by 0 here. The number of moles are 20 millimoles. So when 10 millimoles react with 20 millimoles, then after the reaction what happened? Initially the product NH4Cl is 0, but after the reaction this HCl completely react with NH4OH. So 10 millimoles of HCl react with 10 millimoles of NH4OH. So the remaining amount of HCl is 0. Remaining amount of NH4OH is 10 millimoles because 10 react with 10. And product 10 millimoles of NH4Cl are obtained. Now observe carefully the condition here. The weak base is formed with the salt of weak base and strong acid. This NH4Cl is a salt obtained by reacting weak base with a strong acid. So when we consider these two things in a same mixture, then the mixture is known as basic buffer. So the option number second in this question is correct. So the option number second is correct in this question. So our correct answer is, although you can solve the question before, you can mark the answer before solving this question by just knowing the definition of this basic buffer. But for surety purpose, we are solving here the question. Now the next question is the number of moles of hydrogen molecule required to produce 20 mole of ammonia through Haber process. So first of all, you must know about the equation by which we can obtain ammonia during Haber process, and the reaction is when N2 reacts with hydrogen, then it will give us ammonia. Balance the given equation by multiplying hydrogen by 3 and ammonia by 2. So this is the balanced equation. Now see here, 1 mole of N2 reacts with 3 mole of H2. It gives us 2 mole of NH3. So 2 moles of ammonia are produced from 3 moles of hydrogen. So we can write like this, 2 moles of ammonia are produced by 3 moles of hydrogen. If we want to prepare 1 mole, then we can write like this, 3 by 2 moles of H2. But in question we have to prepare the 20 moles of ammonia. So for 20 moles of ammonia, we require 3 by 2 of 20 moles of hydrogen. So we can write like this. When we cancel out the factor, the answer comes out to be 30 moles of hydrogen. So our correct answer is 30 moles. So correct answer is option number 2. Next question is, which of the following diatomic molecular species has only pi bonds according to molecular orbital theory? So according to molecular orbital theory, firstly you have to write down the number of electron in each molecule. In this case, atomic number for nitrogen is 7. So when we combine 2 and 2, total number of electrons are here 14. In the beryllium, atomic number is 4. So the total number of electrons are here 8. In case of carbon, atomic number is 6. So total number of electrons are 12. In case of oxygen, atomic number is 8. So the total number of electrons are here 16. Now separate the system where the number of electrons are 14 or less than 14. So there are 3 cases where number of electrons are 14 and less than 14. But in case of oxygen, the number of electrons are greater than 16. So according to MOT, when the number of electrons are 14 or less than 14, then the order of filling of electron in molecular orbital is like this. Firstly, sigma 1s is filled. After that, sigma star 1s, then sigma 2s, sigma star 2s. Pi 2px, pi 2py both have similar energy, equal energy. After that, sigma 2pz. Then their anti-bonding, pi star 2px, pi star 2py. Again, the both pi star 2px and pi star 2py are of equal energy, and after that pi star 2pz. Now fill the electron. Firstly, we discuss the case for nitrogen. When we consider the N2 molecule, 14 electron we have to fill. Though sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2. Firstly, they are singly filled because their energies are equal. But then after that, we can pair up the electron. So we have to fill the 14 electron, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and now 2 again 14. Now see here, the outermost shell here, the electron which participate in bonding here are these pi 2px2, pi 2py2 and sigma 2pz2. See here, when we calculate the bond order, the formula is 1 by 2 of number of electron in bonding minus number of electron in anti-bonding. So when we calculate this, number of electron in bonding are here 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Then minus number of electron in anti-bonding are here 4. So 6 by 2 mean to say 3. Or we can consider only these 3 orbital because this is the innermost electronic configuration and the outer one is here which take part in bonding is pi 2px2, pi 2py2 and sigma 2pz2. Or we can express like this also, 1 by 2, 6 minus 0. These 3 are all bonding, minus anti-bonding is 0. From this also the bond order comes out to be 3. And out of 3, 1 is sigma bond and 2 are pi bonds. Because we can see here pi 2px, pi 2py, these 2 molecular orbital and sigma 2pz. These 3 participate in bonding. So 1 sigma bond and 2 pi bond. So our option N2 is incorrect. We have to choose the option where only pi bonds are present. Now consider the second case, that is of carbon. For carbon, we have to fill 12 electrons. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, then 11 and then 12. Now see here in the outermost shell only here pi 2px and pi 2py are filled, not sigma 2pz. So only The pi orbital takes part in bonding here. So we can say that according to molecular orbital theory, in case of C2, pi bonds only exist. So we can calculate the bond order like this. 1 by 2, number of electron in bonding is 4. When we consider only the outermost shell configuration, then it is 4. When we consider the whole one, then 2, 4, 6 and then 2, 8. So 8 minus 4, we can calculate like this also. The bond order comes out to be 2 here. But when we want to predict only the nature, then we have to consider the outermost shell electronic configuration here, that is molecular orbital configuration here. So we can calculate the bond order by considering the outermost like this. 1 by 2, in outermost we have to consider the 2px 2py. So the bonding minus 0, 4 minus 0, 4 by 2 is 2. So the bond order is 2 and both bonds are pi bonds. So our correct option is 2. Let's see the other ones also. In case of beryllium, the atomic number is 4. In case of beryllium, when we consider for beryllium, then the atomic number is 4, number of electrons are 4. So in 2 beryllium, Be2, the number of electrons are 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. In this case, no pi orbital is involved. So the bond order is simply 1 by 2. Number of electron in bonding are 4 and number of electron in anti-bonding are also 4. So bond order is 0 in the case of beryllium. So beryllium is not the correct answer here. Now let's talk about oxygen. In oxygen, the number of electrons are 16 here. So now the trend is slightly changed here. We have to fill sigma 2pz before filling of pi 2px and pi 2py, because now the number of electrons are greater than 14. So for oxygen, when we calculate the bond order, sigma 1 is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, then 15 and then 16. So see here the number of outermost electron are in sigma as well as in pi. So when we consider the bond order here, then bond order is half of number of electron in bonding are here 2, 4 and 6. We are not considering here the inner shell configuration here. Outer orbitals we are considering for calculation of bond order. 2, 4, 6 minus 2 are anti-bonding. This star indicate the anti-bonding one. So 4 by 2 answer comes out to be 2. So out of 2, one bond is sigma and one is pi, because here sigma and pi both are involved in bonding. So we can say that one sigma and one pi. So we have to choose the answer only where pi bonds are present. So C2 is the case where the two bonds are pi bonds according to molecular orbital theory. So the correct answer is here C2, that is option number 2. The next question is the biodegradable polymer is. This is very direct question from NCERT book. If you see here, the biodegradable polymer are PHBB. This is polyhydroxy butyrate co beta hydroxyvalerate. This is the full form of PHBB, and PHBB is also one of the biodegradable polymer, and the another one is nylon 2, nylon 6. These are directly mentioned in NCERT book, these biodegradable polymer. So you can see from there nylon 2 and nylon 6 is biodegradable polymer. The next question is, which of the following reactions are disproportionation reaction? Now what are these disproportionation reaction? These are the reaction in which same element or same species will undergo oxidation as well as reduction. Now see here, in first case, copper from +1 changes into +2 and 0. Mean to say oxidation state is increased here by 1 factor and also decreased here by 1 factor. So copper +1 undergo oxidation as well as reduction. When we talk about from +1 to +2, mean to say loss of electron, and loss of electron is oxidation process. And when copper plus is changes to 0, then this is known as reduction. So both processes are taking place here, oxidation and reduction. See in next case, manganese when it is in MnO4 2 negative form. MnO4 2 negative. Calculate its oxidation state. Let it be X for manganese. 4 for oxygen -2, overall charge is -2. So when we calculate the value of X, it will come out 8 minus 2, that is 6. So the oxidation state of manganese is here +6. When we see the product side, then oxidation state, let it be X, 4. In the case of MnO4 negative, we can calculate here MnO4 negative. Let X for manganese, 4 into -2, overall charge is -1. So X minus 8 equal to -2, X value is here +7. So in case of MnO4 negative, the state of manganese is +7. In case of MnO2, when we calculate it, let it be X +2 into -2, overall charge 0. So X value is +4. So MnO2, the manganese state is +4. See here again, the oxidation state increases as well as decreases. So first case is also disproportionation. Second case is also disproportionation because there is increase as well as decrease in the oxidation state, means oxidation and reduction both takes place. In third case, the case is KMnO4. KMnO4, when we separate the K positive ion, it will become MnO4 negative. So the state of MnO4 negative, as we have already calculated, the state of manganese is +7. In case of K2MnO4, see here the case MnO4 2 negative. It is similar case. When we separate 2K positive ion, it will become MnO4 2 negative. So the state is here +6. In case of MnO2, it is +4. So see here, in both the cases, the oxidation state decreases. Means in both cases, oxidation state decreases, means gain of electron, reduction takes place. So only reduction process is going on in this reaction. So this is not a disproportionation reaction. Now come on fourth example. MnO4 negative means manganese +7. When react with manganese +2, it gives us MnO2, that is +4. Again, this is not a disproportionation reaction. So the option number A and B are disproportionation reaction. So the correct option is option number 4. So A and B are only disproportionation reaction. So your answer is answer number 4 is correct. That is A and B are disproportionation reaction where same element or same species undergo oxidation as well as reduction. Now the next question is the compound that is most difficult to protonate. What is this protonation process? When we add H positive ion to the system, then it is known as protonation process. See in first case, both the lone pair on oxygen are free. They are not involved in any kind of resonance. So they can easily attack on H positive ion. It can easily give lone pair to H positive ion. So it will undergo protonation. In second case also, the similar case. In third case also the lone pairs are free. But in fourth case, this is phenol. PH mean to say here the benzene ring. If OH group is present on benzene ring, as we know that oxygen has two lone pair electron, this lone pair is now involved in resonance with the benzene ring. So because of this resonance, the oxygen acquire the positive charge. Here, this oxygen acquire positive charge, and when H positive ion try to come here, then it is not possible for H positive to approach the lone pair of oxygen because oxygen already has positive charge. So in this case, incoming proton will not be able to attack easily. So our option number 4 is correct, where lone pairs are involved in resonance. So correct answer is fourth option. Next question is, which of the following species is not stable? Here the species are of germanium, tin and silicon, and due to presence of d orbitals, they can easily form the octahedral complexes like germanium Cl6 2 negative, tin OH whole 6 2 negative, this is also octahedral, SiF6 2 negative, but the species SiCl6 2 negative, this will not exist. This does not exist because the size of chlorine is large, and 6 large chlorine, this chloride ions, cannot be accommodated by small size of silicon 4 positive. So due to limitation of size of silicon, we can say that these 6 larger size chloride ion will not accommodate around silicon 4 positive. That is why this complex will not exist. So our correct option is option number 3rd, SiCl6 2 negative is not stable because chloride ions are bigger in size and the silicon is smaller in size. Silicon 4 positive cation become more smaller in size. Then these 6 ions are not easy to accommodate around this silicon atom. Now the next question is, an alkene A is an alkene, on reaction with O3 and ZnH2O, it gives us two compound. One is propanone and the second one is ethanol. Structure of propanone is, we can write like this, CH3 C double bond O CH3, and the structure of ethanol is C double bond O CH CH3. CH3CHO is ethanol and CH3CO CH3 is propanone. So observe, this reaction is ozonolysis reaction. When we add ozone and ZnH2O, this is ozonolysis reaction, and one shortcut is here. We can obtain the reactant back by combining these two carbon which are having oxygen atom and make double bond in between them. So our alkene is like this. double bond CH3. Remove these two oxygen and combine these two carbons by double bond. So we can obtain the alkene. Now read the statement. Addition of HCl to A gives B as a major product. So when we add HCl to this A compound, then the major product is B and we have to predict the structure of B. Now HCl is added here. There is no presence of peroxide here, so we can add HCl, and here addition takes place by Markovnikov's rule. According to Markovnikov's rule, the negative part goes on that carbon of double bond which has less number of hydrogen. So here when we remove this double bond, the carbon which has 2 CH3 group has less number of hydrogen, even no hydrogen. The negative part come on this carbon and the hydrogen goes on the another carbon. So the product B is this. This one is major product. Although the product in small amount can be obtained where the Cl is on this carbon where CH3 and H are present, and the Cl in another case this is a major product where Cl is on this carbon where the number of hydrogen are less. So our correct option is out of these where the less number of hydrogen are present. See here the option number 2 is correct here. So our correct answer is 2. So in ozonolysis reaction we have to predict here when we want to make the product. Break this double bond, make one double bond on left side, one double bond on right side here. So you can obtain the products here. When we see the actual reaction, firstly ozonide formation takes place and then formation of these ketones or aldehydes takes place. So this is a shortcut by which you can attempt the question easily. Now the next question is match the following. Pure nitrogen. Pure nitrogen is obtained from sodium azide or barium azide. You can see here by the reaction like this, barium azide is given to you. Barium azide is BaN3 whole twice. It gives us barium and pure nitrogen. On decomposition it gives us barium and pure nitrogen. So from either from barium azide or from sodium azide we can obtain pure nitrogen. Now the next one is Haber process. Haber process is very common process where nitrogen react with hydrogen gas. It gives us ammonia. When 1 mole of nitrogen react with 3 mole of hydrogen, 2 moles of ammonia are produced. So the Haber process gives us ammonia. Contact process is used for the preparation of sulfuric acid. So in contact process what happened? Firstly, acid molecules of sulfur combined with oxygen, it gives us sulfur dioxide in gaseous form. Then in second step, this sulfur dioxide gas is converted into sulfur trioxide by the use of vanadium pentoxide catalyst. We can convert it into SO3 gas, sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide, and this reaction is in equilibrium. 2 moles are used and 2 SO3 are produced. In next step, when we add small amount of H2SO4 to this SO3 gas, we can obtain oleum, that is H2H2O7. This is oleum, and when we hydrolyze this oleum and we add water to this oleum, then we can obtain sulfuric acid in large amount. So by using small amount of sulfuric acid in the previous step, we can obtain the large amount sulfuric acid. This process is contact process. So contact process is used for the preparation of sulfuric acid. The Deccan process is a process which is used for the preparation of chlorine. When 4 moles of HCl react with oxygen, this will give us 2 moles of chlorine and 2 moles of water molecule. So this is the Deccan process for the preparation of chlorine. So our option for A, option number 4th is correct for A. C in third option. Option number 4th is correct. For B, option number 3rd is correct. For C, option number 2nd is correct. For D, option number 1st is correct. So our answer is 3rd. Correct answer is 3rd answer here. The next question is the most suitable reagent for the following conversion. Here alkyne is converted into cis-alkene. And see the very first option here, hydrogen in the presence of palladium and carbon and in the presence of quinoline, that is a sulfur, it contains sulfur content. So we can say that this reagent is catalytic reduction, and this is also known as Lindlar's catalyst. And this Lindlar's catalyst specifically convert alkyne to cis-alkene. So in this case, what happen on metallic surface first, hydrogen gas get adsorbed, and after that reaction takes place, and from this you can clearly see that hydrogen will attach to the molecule from both from same side. That is why cis-alkene formation takes place. In first case, Lindlar catalyst is used. Second case is also reduction, but in this case on one carbon hydrogen is added and on another carbon chlorine. Alkyl halide type complexes are obtained here. Third case is oxymercuration, demercuration reaction. In this case, the last step, addition of water takes place. Means on one carbon hydrogen, on another carbon OH. But you can see in the question here on both the carbon hydrogen are added. So this option is also not correct. Now the fourth one, sodium in presence of liquid ammonia. This is known as Birch reduction. And during this Birch reduction, here alkyne is converted into trans-alkene, but we have to obtain here the cis-alkene. So option number first is correct option, that is Lindlar's catalyst convert alkyne into cis-alkene. Next question is the correct order of basic strength of methyl substituted amine in aqueous solution. When aqueous solution is there, then three factors work here. First one is inductive effect. Second one is solvation effect. And the third one is steric hindrance. Now, according to this inductive effect, when we write these three amines, one is primary, second is secondary, and the third one is tertiary. First one is primary, second one is secondary, where 2 CH3 group are present, and the third one is tertiary, where 3 CH3 group are present. As we know that the electron releasing group will show plus I effect, and they will increase the electron density on nitrogen, and it can easily give its lone pair of electron, and the extent by which the nitrogen can give its lone pair of electron, it will show its basic strength. So in the first case, the plus I effect is because of only one CH3 group, In second case it is because of 2 CH3 group, and in third case it is because of 3 CH3 group. So primary, secondary and tertiary. So when we observe this order, we can observe clearly that in case of tertiary, plus I effect is more. If plus I effect more, mean to say it can easily give its lone pair to show its basic character. So according to inductive effect, tertiary amine is more basic as compared to secondary as compared to primary. But here another factors also affect here. Second one is solvation effect. What is a solvation? When we add ammonia into water, it accepts H positive ion. So firstly I am taking the exam case here for primary amine. When CH3 and H2 react with water and accept H positive ion, it will give us, by giving its lone pair, now it acquires positive charge. Ammonium ion is formed every time when any amine accepts H positive ion by giving its lone pair. Now see here, in this case there are 3 hydrogen bonding possible. One from this, another from this, and the other from this. So 3 hydrogen bondings are possible here. But in case of secondary, when we talk about the secondary one, then the secondary is CH3N CH3H. So when H positive ion is added to it, it will become CH3C CH3 NH. One H is here, another one, sorry, just a minute. So in case of secondary amine, when we add H positive ion, it will give us this. Now lone pair give its lone pair to hydrogen and it will become N positive. So in this case 2 hydrogen bondings are possible. But when we talk about tertiary, then in the case of tertiary, this lone pair given to H positive ion and it will convert into, nitrogen will acquire positive charge, this. Now here only one hydrogen bonding is possible. So when we observe the case after conversion of ammonium ion, it will show, primary will show 3 hydrogen bonding, secondary will show 2 hydrogen bonding, and tertiary will show 1 hydrogen bonding. Less number of hydrogen bonding mean to say least stable. More number of hydrogen bonding mean to say more stable. And here stability is directly related to basicity. So the primary one is more basic as compared to secondary as compared to tertiary according to this solvation effect. Primary, then secondary, and then tertiary. Now the third factor here is steric factor, or we can say that steric effect. When we observe this effect, in primary there is only one CH3 group. In secondary there are 2 CH3 group, and in tertiary there are 3 CH3 group. So the tertiary one is more sterically hindered as compared to secondary as compared to primary. So this is primary, secondary and tertiary. The compound which is more sterically hindered, then it will not easily give its H lone pair to the H positive ion. Means basicity is less. So more is the steric hindrance, less is the basicity. So according to steric hindrance factor, the order of basic character should be primary, secondary and tertiary. The least sterically hindered will show more basic character. So we can say that primary, secondary and tertiary. So when we combine these three factors, inductive, solvation and the steric one, then the order obtained here is, according to inductive, order comes out to be tertiary is more reactive than secondary is more reactive than primary. According to solvation, we observe that here the order should be primary, secondary and tertiary. And according to steric effect or steric hindrance, we can say that order is primary, secondary, tertiary. So when we compare these three factors, in this case of methyl, the solvation effect overpowers our inductive effect. And when we see that these two cases, after that steric hindrance factor will work. So when we see these three cases, all the three cases or first two cases, we can observe that secondary is in middle. So the basic strength of secondary in the overall order is more. Now compare the next thing, that is solvation effect over power of inductive effect. So primary one is more basic as compared to tertiary. So this is the order, resultant order for the basic strength of methylamine. Secondary, then primary and then tertiary. This is the result of these three factors. So the option in the question is, search for the option secondary, primary and tertiary. So the option number 4 is here correct. Your answer should be 4. Answer is option number 4. Secondary, primary and tertiary. This is a combined result of three factors: inductive effect, solvation effect and the. Now the next question is, a gas at 350 Kelvin and 15 bar pressure has molar volume 20% smaller than that of the ideal gas under the same condition. So let us consider the volume of ideal gas. Let it be Vi, and the volume of another gas, let it be a real gas. So the volume of real gas we are considering here Vr. Now the relation between the volume of real gas and the ideal gas is what? The real gas volume is 20% less than that of the ideal gas. So ideal gas volume is Vi. So when we subtract the 20% of Vi from the ideal gas volume, then we can obtain the real gas volume. So the real gas volume comes out to be here, when we take the factor here, then 100 Vi minus 20 Vi, then answer comes out to be 80 Vi by 100, means 0.8 Vi. So Vr is equal to 0.8 Vi. And as we know that the compressibility factor Z is V real by V ideal. V real is 0.8 Vi and V ideal is Vi. Vi is cancelled out by Vi and the Z value is here 0.8, which is less than 1. And remember this thing, that when Z value less than 1, then volume is less, volume is compressed because of attraction forces. So we can say that here attractive forces dominates. And when attractive forces dominate, then liquefaction of gases become very easy. We can easily convert the gas into liquid. So the option here, Z less than 1 and attractive forces dominate. Option number second is correct. So second answer is correct answer. Z less than 1 and attractive forces are dominant. Now the next question is, the number of sigma and pi bonds in pent 2 in 4-ion. Pent means it consists of 5 carbon atom. 2 in, on second position double bond is present. 4 ion means on fourth position triple bond is present. Complete the valency of carbon by hydrogen. Here carbon is involved in 3 bonds, so one remaining is hydrogen. Here also the fourth bond is with hydrogen. Here already 4 bonds are formed, and at last carbon 1 bond is formed. So this is 1, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th carbon. So this is the structure of pent 2ene 4 ion. When we observe here, this bond is sigma, this is also sigma, this is also sigma. The carbon-carbon single bond is sigma. If carbon-carbon double bond is present, one is sigma, one is pi. This CH bond is sigma, this CH bond is sigma. One single carbon-carbon bond is sigma. This first one is sigma and the other two are pi. This is again sigma. So these two bonds are pi here and this one is pi. So total number of pi bonds are 3. Now calculate the sigma 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So we can say that here sigma bonds are 10. So our correct option is option number 4, that is 10 sigma bonds and 3 pi bonds. Now the next question is for the second period element, the correct increasing order of first ionization enthalpy is. We have to arrange them according to their increasing order of first ionization enthalpy. The basic general trend, we know that when we move from left to right in a periodic table along a period, then atomic size decreases and ionization enthalpy increases. But there is some exception in second period element. When we see the second period element, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. There are two exceptions come here. When we move from beryllium to boron and when we consider the case of nitrogen and oxygen. So see here in case of beryllium, the atomic number is 4 and the configuration is 1s2, 2s2. In case of boron, the atomic number is 5 and we can write the configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. So when we compare these two configurations, then we can observe that it is easy to remove electron from 2p1 as compared to 2s2 because this 2s2 is fully filled. And removal of electron from a fully filled orbital is difficult as compared to a partially filled orbital. So in case of 2p1, it is easy to remove electron. If it is easy to remove electron, then the ionization enthalpy of boron is less than that of beryllium. So ionization of enthalpy of beryllium is greater than boron. Now, when we move from nitrogen to oxygen, as we know that the atomic number for nitrogen is 7 and atomic number for oxygen is 8. When we write the configuration, then 1s2, 2s2, 2p3 and here 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So see in the case of nitrogen, p orbital is half filled because it is 2p3, but in case of oxygen, it is not half filled. But when we remove one electron from it, when we remove one electron in the case of oxygen, then it will become half filled. Then it is easy to remove electron from oxygen as compared to nitrogen because nitrogen is half filled configuration here and removal of electron from half filled is difficult. So nitrogen ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is greater than oxygen. Other elements will follow the normal trend. Normal trend is what? Ionization enthalpy increases from left to right. Now the two orders are different here. Beryllium has greater than that of boron And here also nitrogen has greater ionization enthalpy that of oxygen. So when we write the exact order here, then lithium has ionization enthalpy less than that of beryllium, has greater than lithium as well as boron. So beryllium comes after boron, then carbon. Now after carbon, oxygen, and then nitrogen. After nitrogen, fluorine, and the last one is neon. So we can say that the correct order is here, the option number where oxygen comes before nitrogen and boron comes before beryllium. So option number first is correct. So our answer first is correct answer here. The next question is, among the following the narrow spectrum antibiotic is. Now what are these antibiotics? These antibiotics are the chemical substances either they inhibit the growth of microorganisms, bacteria or microorganisms you can say, or destroy them. They are further of two types. Some are broad spectrum and some are narrow spectrum. Now these broad spectrum are which work on both the types of bacteria, gram positive and gram negative. When the antibiotic work on both type of bacteria, they kill both type of bacteria, gram positive and gram negative, then they are known as broad spectrum antibiotics. When they kill either gram positive or gram negative on a specific particular type of bacteria, when they work, then it is known as narrow spectrum antibiotic. When it work on both type of bacteria, destroy both type of bacteria, then it is broad spectrum. When it destroy or inhibit the growth of any one type of bacteria, then it is known as narrow spectrum. So here the example penicillin G is one of the narrow spectrum antibiotic and other are broad spectrum. So this question is direct memory based question. You can easily attempt it when you remember this thing, that what are narrow spectrum and what are broad spectrum bacteria. The next question is the method used to remove temporary hardness of water. This temporary hardness of water is because of presence of bicarbonates of either calcium or magnesium. In this method, this Clark method is one of the method which is used to remove temporary hardness from the water, and in this Clark method we use slacked lime, that is calcium hydroxide. When we treat the given water from which we want to remove temporary hardness, so either the bicarbonates, hydrogen carbonates of calcium are present in the solution in the given water, or the hydrogen carbonates of magnesium are present here. When these react with calcium hydroxide, slacked lime, it will lead to the formation of calcium carbonate, precipitates of calcium carbonate and water. So 2 moles of calcium carbonates are obtained here and 2 moles of water are obtained here. So it can be separated in the form of precipitates. In second case, when we react the magnesium hydrogen carbonate with slacked lime, and then it will give us calcium carbonate, precipitates of calcium carbonate. Along with this, it will form precipitates of magnesium hydroxide, and the side product is here water. 2 moles of water are obtained, and at once 2 moles of slacked lime are used and 2 moles of calcium carbonates are obtained. And so in this manner PPTs are removed and water will become free from hardness. In this manner we can remove the temporary hardness from the water by treating it with slacked lime. This is the Clark method which is used to remove temporary hardness from the water. Hope so this video will be helpful for you all. If you like our video, then do share and subscribe with the other